We got many colors. See?
I know, we do have many colors.
We're actually finding that for free. Okay, this is Oldecam.
And this is not a spring chicken, as everybody knows. It's the hollow. Oh, should I get my hat out?
No,
okay.
you can. No, but you don't have to for this one. We've got.
Okay.
You're going to be seeing a lot of that hat in their Christmas stuff
That's
next
true.
month. A lot of it in the next month. This is just the warm up on the first day of the Christmas season. So.
Today what we're going to talk about is...
Actually, top 10 ways of surviving holidays with the family.
And this,
Yeah, we've done this before. Every year we do this in a different manner.
This is an updated version.
Yeah, this is an updated
And this is
version.
entirely different because we don't look at it what we did. I don't look
No,
at what
I
I posted
didn't.
last year.
I don't even, I have to put it this way, after I put it up once, I never go back and look at it again. So I have to redo it every year. So.
Well, part of it is this is always subject to change, and it.
Well, actually, some of it is subject to change because of
And as you listen to our top 10 ways to survive, you will notice that there are some things that are, well,
some of them.
for today's times.
Yeah, because actually some of this stuff did come out. Now, most of the people only have like 3 things on surviving the holidays with the in-laws, with your spouse, with your children. They only have the top 3. We have 10.
And this actually is all kind of encompassing
Yeah.
in surviving the holidays with your family. So starting off with number 10.
This one I know because I was a daddy. And I also have lots of relatives. Children's pics only excite the grandparents and no one else in the room.
I think it helps the aunts and the uncles to get excited.
No.
You don't think so?
Aunts and uncles have pictures of their kids. I mean, I predate the era of of the computers and the cell phones and the videotape, where basically it was the father or your aunts and uncles, everybody with their dueling wallets waiting to get out for the first time. You want to see your grandson's latest picture? When that happens, everybody's got their pictures out, and that's when you get the comments. Well, God, he does look like his father, doesn't he? Poor kid.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you sure that she's the mother of that child? Because it does.
It's more the comments that come after the pictures, right?
Oh, it's what's going on is the pictures are being shown around. They hand them around, and everybody's got their plastic little. And they said, "Boy, he doesn't fall far from the tree of life, does he?" And I used to get. I had my ears before my ears sunk in. I was like this, but so you can tell me some of my movies because my ears are like this, and they would refer to me as. Actually, my grandmother was a good one. My grandmother was the chief nurse at the Griffin Park Zoo, and they would say, "Hey, you picked that kid up in one of the cages, didn't you?"
Oh.
Yeah. I know the cruelty.
Would they do something like that?
Yeah, that's why you don't want to. The one thing you don't want to do is to show your pictures off because it just starts a warfare with them. Because like my family, like there was 15 different families there at the same time. All of them with cute girls. There was only 3 males in my family, 3, and they were all females. And they all have these really cute, adorable pictures of their daughters taken that they all spend fortune money. I didn't have a whole lot of really attractive members in the female side of my family, folks.
The other thing I'm going to say is family, well, besides family pictures, travel pictures. As much as you like to see travel pictures or share your travel pictures, everybody doesn't want to sit there and watch them all at the same time.
Yeah.
And
actually,
it's more like, when is this going to be over with?
I'll put it this way. My father would show up with a 16mm projector and reels of his work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they wanted to see him falling off a thing, or they wanted to see him riding a motorcycle, or they wanted to see him escorting. He basically had his demo reel like everybody in the world in business does, and he carried him around with him. And he also had a 16mm projector that he carried him around.
But it's like, everybody doesn't need to sit down and see it, but if you want to, I'm thinking if you want to show it, put it up and people can go look at it at their leisure.
They'd have rather seen the movies that he was in, not him, because he was a second unit person. They could have cared less about him. Oh, but that picture starred that hunk Tyrone Power. I'd rather know it. And
you want to see Tyrone Power, not your dad.
See my dad, no.
And number 9.
Like that, avoid the situation. Oh, that's the guy from New Jersey. Everybody wants to avoid him.
actually, we aren't talking about him.
Oh, I thought that you're not talking about him.
The situation.
Yeah.
No, I say avoid the situation because, see, there are times when, I do believe in family tradition and family unity, but there are other families where it's just better to not be present.
We had one rule in my house, and I always enforced it as being the oldest male in the family, was that there was no war, nothing. You did not cause problems during my holiday, because I'd actually pick up family members and throw them out the door.
Mm-hmm.
I was known for not being a nice person. Because what happens is families sometimes get into family arguments.
Yeah.
Not when we're having a holiday dinner. In my home, they didn't. Because even though my father was in charge, my father was a lot smaller than I was, and my mother basically didn't tell me I couldn't, so if somebody would start a battle, I'd sort of pick them up by one hand, throw them out the door, and tell them to get the hell out of here and don't come back. Mm-hmm. And the other family would, you can't let him do that. And then he did. Well, I was always the villain. So I was the peacekeeper. They knew that I would do that because they knew I would do it. There tended not to be any battles over the holidays in my house.
Well, because there are some families that do get into a lot of battles during the holidays.
Oh no, we had lots of people. They say, well, that they're flaunting how much money they have. Well, no, we saved up everything so they could have the Christmas, or they could have the Thanksgiving, Christmas, to Easter, the 4th of July. Basically, we'd set stuff aside specifically for that. We weren't flaunting anything. Well, maybe because we were living in a house in Brentwood. We built the house in Brentwood. Or we were living on Temperance Avenue in Fresno. We built the house in Temperance. What it means, we were there because we couldn't sell the house we were in. Not because we were living in it, we couldn't sell it.
And number 8, I would say consider your spouse/significant other, because
there's a reason you got married and left home to begin with.
Yeah, and I'm saying spouse/significant other because, see, part of it is there are some people that have to go home no matter what.
Yeah.
And then there are some people that will not join you no matter what. Because part of it is sometimes you have to choose, and that's always kind of difficult because you want to spend holidays with both sides of the family.
Yep, I simply wouldn't go anywhere. I went once. I went to one family reunion. I basically had absolutely nothing in common with anybody. It wasn't because I was a California snob. It was because he didn't have anything to say to the people. Well,
sometimes it's like you want to go to all the places, but the other person may not want to be at all the places.
Oh, yeah.
And so part of it is sometimes, let's just say, it's not worth the argument.
No, but we used to, I hated to go to where my grandmother was. My grandmother was a script supervisor, and my grandmother, her idea was a lot of fun, was she'd take us to whatever location she was working on. And at one time she was working with Tarzan, so we spent the whole afternoon setting in 1,000 Oaks over at the animal facility while Tarzan the Stupid, who was Denny Miller, was basically falling off of an elephant. We didn't think that was a lot of fun for the holidays.
Oh.
So it got to where I didn't like going to holiday things with families.
Mm-hmm. Number 8.
No, it was number 7.
Number 7.
Thank your lucky stars.
Yeah, I know. Look at it. He's going flat.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is sometimes if you're, there's people that are like, oh, my parents are like this, or my siblings are like that. There's a lot of people that are just glad that they have them, because a lot of times people, like, you don't have your father, your mother, there's like this emptiness there, and so sometimes it's like you just gotta appreciate what you have.
Well, I'm the oldest living member of my family. Everybody that I grew up with is dead. I mean, all of my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my parents, they're all dead. Mm-hmm. So when you get to be my age, you think back about, well, maybe I should have been a little bit different, and then you think, oh, God, no. Because you sit there, but one of the things about being old is you remember how bad things really were.
Well, also because there's a lot of people, they're just grateful.
Yeah.
And they think about it because, well, let's just say a family illness, right?
Well, yeah, we have lots of family illnesses. We tend to die from, getting sick or injuries a lot. Nobody dies from old age in my family.
Well, thank your lucky stars that they're still around and you get to spend some time with them and enjoy them. Okay, fine. So for some people,
No, okay. I have a typical American family, which means we're from Germany, we're from England, we're American Indians, so nobody has anything in common with anybody. So when they get
your
together,
family they don't even want to get together. They only want to get together because you were cooking lots of
for
food.
free
Yeah.
food and gifts, yeah. That's free food. Patriots are free food.
Number
We love to eat, and she knows I still love to eat. So
number 6. No matter what they serve, eat it graciously.
oh God, yeah. Okay, we put it this way: why the family met at my parents' place or my place was because there wasn't another member of my family that could cook except for my mother could be. We are talking nobody could cook. I mean, I have sat there and I sat there and ate, beef stroganoff and where's the beef? And he said, well, you just mix flour and flour and the noodles, and that's beef stroganoff. No, not. And it tasted like cardboard. I've tasted,
Yeah, and how gracious were you eating that?
I'm never gracious. I'm a bad person. I was
Aren't you the one that came up with this, no matter what they serve, eat it graciously?
I said, do as I say, don't do as I do, because I'm old. I'm old, and old people are not good. Old people are not nice. That's why they don't like old people. But they're disturbing.
They're like kids. They're overly honest.
Yeah. No, I just tell people, I cannot, she'll tell you, I cannot eat meat that's not cooked. I can, but I really don't like it. And if they serve me meat that's not cooked, I have a gag reflex. And that's, so you can't serve me something. Okay, we'll put it this way, the whole section of my family is Japanese. They don't cook their food, they don't cook their meat.
So yeah. Well, and the other part is, I'll give you an exception, is that if they have a specific dietary restriction, like they're allergic to gluten, allergic to peanuts.
Well, I would cook for everybody that way. We would cook for everybody. That's why we would have, we were doing buffets back when they were like smorgasbords. We'd have we had a big wooden table that expanded out to seat 24 people. And that would never be set at because it would be covered with food for everybody to walk around the table and pick up what they knew they could eat, because we would cook specifically based on people's diets. So.
But this is not the time to say, oh, why did you make that? Okay,
Actually,
it's like people don't need to hear that.
No, but no, that's why we would cook so much, because we wouldn't hear that. You would not hear why,
Because they all had options.
Now, we put it this way, since I did the cooking, I knew there was always something on that table. I have been cooking since I was, what happened was my mother worked, my father worked one schedule, my father worked another schedule, which meant in between there was nobody to cook for the children, so I ended up learning how to cook with my brothers and,
Well, and I think part of this also assumes that you have a gracious host. You don't have somebody that knows you have a dietary restriction and cooks everything that you can't eat.
No, yeah, because that's the one thing you don't want to cook. Okay, our rule of thumb was you don't cause war during the meal, or before or after. So if you don't want to cause a war, you better find out what people want to eat. I mean, there were some desserts that we overdid on the desserts for the simple reason there were people that couldn't eat sugar because they had diabetes. My grandmother had diabetes. My father had a problem because he basically hurt in World War II, and a lot of his parts were taken out. He couldn't handle high salt, so he deliberately had to cook stuff that didn't have any salt in it just for him. When you cook the stuff that doesn't have any salt in it for him, other people need salt, so you're cooking the same dish sometimes 2 different ways.
A couple different ways.
Yep.
And number 5, this is one, especially for the times.
Yeah, this is one that seems to be on everybody's list about with in-laws, with your children, with your spouse, anything. He said, don't talk about Obama.
See, a lot of times they would say, don't talk about politics, but this year it's, don't talk about Obama.
Yeah.
And the reason is?
They said he's the most polarizing political figure in American history. You either like him or you totally hate him.
And how often can you get an entire family to agree on one thing?
Oh, I can guarantee you in my family, I was a conservative liberal, Republican, which means I was in the middle. And my Angelique was a flaming liberal. I mean, she was